Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Horror Trans. I am Stephanie Bree. I'm a transgender woman, and I talk about all things horror. And today I'm tackling the Scream franchise, and I just did Scream 1, so go ahead and check out that video before you watch this one. And here's Scream 2. So, again, like I said in the other video, Scream breathed new life into the slasher genre, but it also changed the horror landscape. So now we're getting a sequel. So now in the movie, they've made a movie called Stab, which is based on the events of the first Scream movie. So it's like a movie within a movie. There will be a running series, continuing series of Stab movies referenced throughout this franchise. So this movie opens up just like the first one with a fake out, kind of a fake out, where you get like this celebrity who you think is going to be either the final girl or one of the main characters, but it turns out she's actually the first one of the first victims. The first victim is actually her boyfriend, who's killed in the bathroom, and she's actually got a pretty sick death. So definitely worth watching for that. I'm not going to break down the individual kills in this one. They are bloodier than the first one, and they are more graphic, which the character, and I forget his name, but he's played by Jamie Kennedy. He actually says, well, we're in a sequel now, and tend to be bloodier, but he also says sequels, you can kill the survivors of the previous movie. So this movie takes place, I believe, a year or two later. They're now in college instead of in high school. And Sydney has left her hometown of Woodsboro, and she's trying to forget about the Woodsboro murders. And Gail Weathers, who was the reporter in the first movie, has written a book about the Woodsboro murders, which was the basis of the movie. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in my previous video was a character named Cotton Leary, who was wrongfully accused and imprisoned for the death of Sidney Prescott's mother. So I forgot to mention that in the first movie. That comes back in this movie because Cotton has been released from prison because he's been exonerated now that we know that Billy Loomis was the killer. Cotton's kind of an asshole, and forgive me, I forgot the name of the actor who plays him. He's got one of those faces you recognize, but not one of those names that sticks around. I think it was Liv Shriver, now that I think about it. Anyways, it's one of those weird names that doesn't stick in your head. Anyways, Dewey's back, and Gail is back, and like I said, the Jamie Kennedy character is back, and Sydney's back, and she's being stalked and harassed by another killer. And this time around, we find out that there are there's two killers. This time around, we find out one of the killers is a fan of Billy Loomis and Stu Macher, and he just wants his 15 minutes of fame. He's all about, this is after Columbine came out, so he's all about, hey, I just want to be famous for being a killer. The other killer is actually Billy Loomis's mother, and her motivation is simple. Sid killed her baby, and so she's trying to get revenge. Again, there's some chase scenes in this movie. Some cops die. Some of Sydney's friends die. There are some red herrings in this movie, but I just spoiled it, so I'm sorry. And basically, it's another Scream movie. This one I'm going to go ahead and rate as a buy as well. This is a good movie. It's really hard to talk about these movies without spoiling them because you have to talk about the motivation of the killer. So in the first movie, the killer's motivation is his mom. Sydney's mom was a whore, and she cheated on her husband with Billy Loomis's dad, and so Billy Loomis is mad because the dad left or something like that. I don't know, because she's a homewrecker, so that's why he killed her. In this movie, the mother of Billy Loomis makes sense as a killer because it was her son, and she doesn't like his name being dragged through the mud and him being dead and all this other stuff, and Sydney gets to go on to college and live her life. The other guy's motivation is very, very flimsy. He just wants to be famous. I mean, It happens, I guess. There are killers out there who do kill just to be famous, but that's a pretty flimsy motivation for a scream movie. But what are you gonna do? Like I said, this one's definitely a buy. This one's got better kills than the first one. It is none of them are inherently scary. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. But this one is a little bit closer to scary than the first one is, but it's still not scary. None of them really are, but you're gonna get some jump scares. So you're warned. You're gonna get some jump scares, but that's all I can say. Stay cool.